Over the years, apart from development projects, the critical relationship between two countries and political interference has played a big role in threatening the very foundation of heritage sites. Hosting the village of UNESCO in the Kingdom of Bahrain, the forum witnessed the collaboration of multicultural minds from 30 countries, where the focus on 29 nominations of heritage sites would be intense over the period of the next 10 days.
Okay, thank you so much for having me here. Ethiopia is an old country with a lot of history and long time civilization. So we have a number of heritage sites inscribed with UNESCO. At this moment we have around 9 of them. It is natural, it is cultural, and also it is intangible heritages. So you can imagine Ethiopia is a country of 100 million people, over 100 million people, and also a history that goes back to more than 3,000 years. You can imagine there must be a lot of things to remember from the past. Today, as you have seen, one of the heritages that was on the under consideration was the Lower Omo Valley, where we protect and conserve the cultural archaeological property, which shows how people back in history were living, what kind of utensils they are using. So we are protecting that cultural site and working together with UNESCO and also members of the convention. We have many, as I said, many World Heritage sites inscribed with UNESCO. Some of them are in the north, some of them are in the south, and there are also intangibles. These intangibles are cultures. It is a way the people live. For example, last in 2017, we have inscribed one of the important intangible property in Ethiopia. It is the tradition of Oromo people, who are the largest ethnic group in the country. That heritage, intangible heritage, represents not only that ethnic group, but the whole Ethiopia. So Ethiopia is endowed with a lot of history, a lot of natural properties, and also physical properties, like, for example, the obelisk of Aksumite Empire. Aksumite Empire is situated perhaps in the northern Ethiopia, where Al-Najashi was the first king of Ethiopia who has received messages from Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Rasulullah, during his time, for his people, to get refuge in Ethiopia. So his closest people also went to Ethiopia, to Al-Najashi, and then they got the refuge from the problem that was at that time created by the Quraysh in Mecca. Not at all, because the government we have is irresponsible. It is a government that has been elected by the people. So an elected government is responsible for its people. It is they have to protect the sovereignty. They have to protect all the properties of the country. So there is no interference from the political structure. Rather, there is the tendency of balancing the development program with protection and the conservation of heritage. So this is a very delicate issue that, of course, government and the communities have to really live with it. So Ethiopia is trying its best to balance in favor of sustainable development. In a community where the heritage is located, the community has to be involved, and the community has to be convinced that this heritage helps them. There should be a benefit that accrue from inscribing heritage. If the people in the community does not see benefit, then they will be reluctant to protect the heritage. In that case, some abuse of the heritage could happen, but it is the responsibility of the public organizations, the government organizations, to help the ethnic groups to understand and also create a situation where they can benefit from it. People are of different behavior, isn't it? So some people could be negligent, but this is a continuous process. It's a continuous process. The government, which is responsible, institutions which are responsible, and international organizations which are responsible for this, even the NGOs, they have to work very hard, and they have to work hand in hand in order to protect this. So they have to also really interact positively with the communities who are around that. Therefore, it requires the effort of everybody to protect and conserve the heritage sites. The heritage site does not only belong to the state parties that inscribe it. It is the property of the whole world. We are lucky, we don't have these extremist groups operating in the country. We have seen in many other parts of the world where extremists are abusing, the heritages, destroying the history of humanity that existed, before our time. So that was really a tragedy, which we all have to stand up and say no and work towards, really improving and mitigating the problems that they have created. Ethiopia is a country of different faith, so we have lived together for centuries without really creating problem to one another, because we found it really important and good for everyone to respect each other's religion, faith, so that we live in peace and stability together. If one says no, mine is better, yours is worse, that kind of narrations does not help anybody. It is a narration of the extremists that Ethiopia and the Ethiopian community, the government, does not accept. Look, it is unfortunate to see Iraq, to find itself in such a situation. Iraq has been a strong and a big, stable country before the destruction, before the war in the Gulf. But unfortunately, the war came, and the result was the war created a vacuum in power. Vacuum also, vacuum also invites anybody that could come in. So the extremists came, destroyed everything, and that is what we have. So we have to stand together, all of us, with Iraq for this property to be protected from being destroyed now, and also to help them to rehabilitate, this property of all of us. There is a criminal law. There is a criminal law. If you destroy a public property, this is a public property. It is a property of the people. So destruction of a property of the people is liable to be somebody who destroys that is going to be accounted for. It's just like you have a house. If I come in and destroy your house, I have to be responsible for the bad things that I have done to your house, and the government, by its law, could handle me in any the legal manner that it should do. So the law is there. Nobody can destroy the property, because when we signed to the convention, 1972, to the convention, we have made this convention part of our law. So the responsibility of protecting the heritage falls on the government primarily, and also on the people of Ethiopia. Therefore, if anything happens and somebody go out of his way and destroy something, then he will be accountable for the damage that he has done. So the law is already there. The inscription depends on the state party. So the state party takes the responsibility to inscribe, because that property falls under the jurisdiction of a state. So it is only that state that brings the nomination to UNESCO. It is only after inscription that becomes the property of the global community. There are institutions, government institutions, that get their annual budget from the budget of the country to protect, to look after these properties. I cannot tell you in number, but these institutions are operational from a long time ago. So the budget is already there. Every year, the government assigns a significant amount of money for the protection and the conservation of these properties. There could be some gaps in management, but this is a process. This is a process. You always have to improve on the way you do your job, isn't it? I mean, you cannot just stand and remain at the same point. So the management also moves with the technology, with the innovations. So it has to always, on improvement. So it is not something that stands still. So the management itself is something that moves forward with the development of technology. Absolutely. I mean, we assign those responsible for protection and conservation of this based on their career, based on their educational background. So it's not that you cannot just pick someone and tell him to protect. He has to have the tools to do it. To have the tools, he has to be educated. Somebody who is educated is always assigned. That is what we do in Ethiopia. Yeah, what I would like to tell them is we have a very good relationship with the Kingdom of Bahrain, following the kingdom. So we want the Bahraini people to come and visit Ethiopian tourist destinations. They are going to enjoy it. So I extend the invitation to all the Bahrainis to visit my country.